Hello, hi, Anthony Padone for Complete SQL. The topic today is differential reporting, and it would be episode 6C. Now, obviously, differentials deal with the differences between an instance of a row in a different time span. So we want to see what state has happened to those particular metrics of particular columns that we desire to see. But before we discuss that, it's important to discuss the different paradigms, a declarative paradigm and an imperative paradigm. And they are not mutually exclusive, they actually work together. Um, this is probably obviously the most important part of the whole process. But the declarative paradigm declares how much interaction as a user you have with the imperative paradigm. Now, let me just explain that quickly with an example. SQL, when you're writing a query, you say, your suggestions are, I select this from these tables. And when you do select, I want these particular rows and I want to filter them and I want to group by, but you're not being specific of how to do that. You're not saying the tables exist here, and when you do that, I want you to sort it and merge it and hash it. You just say, here's what I want. So you're giving it suggestions, you're giving it logical clarity. Then when it goes into the SQL Server, then the optimizer decides how to do that. So that's the imperative paradigm. Now, as you can see, they work together. So I'm declaring an SQL statement, and then the engine is then determining how to execute my request based on certain things that exist or don't exist, and it will come up with a query plan and execute that. So take that, and we want to bring that over to our processing. This is about reporting. So we want to have a declarative paradigm interacting with an imperative paradigm. So I will show you that in a second. But let me just describe something here. So I'm going to go into this example here. Now, let's just say that I'm doing reporting and I want to do differentials on index usage stats. And you maybe or not be familiar with that, but it keeps track of all the different kinds of actions and usage upon the tables and indexes, within a server database, division. So what we want to do is create a declarative paradigm for our process. I don't want to declare what to do, how to do it. I just want to declare what I need to do. So if I'm dealing with a particular data set like index usage, you create a query, and we'll show that in a second, and then you want to select those columns out. Now, but when you interact with those columns, what are you actually doing? Well, you're going to do a group by. So you want a category called group by. You want a category called metric column. So those are the columns that you're going to operate upon to do the differentials. And also you need a date and time column because you're going to compare different rows, instances of different rows at different times during the execution plane. So we declare group by columns and then put the actual columns that you want to have a group by. In our particular case, there's a server, database, schema name, table name, index name. So these are the actual column names within your query. What are the metric columns? Well, there's user seeks, there's user scans, and user updates. Okay, I'm going to put them in there. And what is that date column or the timestamp in your query that you're executing? I have it called date and time, so put it in there. So my interaction now with with the results of running a usage stats is going to be this declaration, this declarative paradigm view of what needs to be done. Now, out of that, now the actual execution of how that's done is done through code that was pre-written, but it doesn't have any predefined views of the columns coming in. It looks at the groups, it looks at the group by, it looks at the metrics, it looks at the timestamp, and takes those individual details, does processing upon that, and produces a report. So anytime I want to do a differential reporting, all I have to do is declare the paradigm, the logical clarity, giving us suggestions. It will be thrown into here and the processing will happen. magically happen without me doing anything else. I don't have to be worried about schemas and columns and matching and nothing like that. This takes care of the fact that it is given the right information it needs and it will produce the required output, just like in SQL and the query plans or show plans. That's the intro. Next, we'll show how that's done with an example. Thank you. Hello. So let's do the demo portion of the differential reporting. So as always, I go into here, DBA batches, go to my name, and I'm going to run some reports. I'm just going to do one report right now, but it can do multiple reports. It's just easier for demonstration. So I'll go into here and I'm going to pull up index usage stats. Click that and let's execute. So it's executing right now. And we'll just look at that right now. So it's coming back with a tabular result set. It's going to take each row and merge it into the data sets that's being created. And as you can see, one was created already. Now let's go into SQL Server and just create some havoc a little bit. So I'm going to just do some bunch of selects on the, what is that, the employee table. So we can follow that one just to make sure that something is happening. So I just clicked it a number of times. This whole thing I think is running for 30 seconds. So I have 3 rows out there now. Just do a few more. Okay, and go back to here and it's complete. So it ran for 30 seconds. And I think there's a 10-second interval between the 30 seconds. So now let's look at the results. So we're going to go here. And actually what we'll do is we'll run the reports also. So DBA batches, and we'll go to Apadone and reporting. So we'll initiate a report and start a report. That'll come up. And it'll ask me what data sets do you want me to ingest to do a report on. And I'll say the DBA reports here, run scripts, Antho was me. We did the index usage stats. And we'll grab up that file right there. It'll do a differential report on that. And see here. And it's finished right now. Now to view that, we'll have to go into our viewer because everything is executed and then processed and then put into a bin file for further processing if we need to. So we'll look at that here as far as a complete SQL. We'll pull this guy up here and we'll import the source first. So DBA reports, run scripts, usage, and this is the source, and I'll say no, and then we'll pull up the report just to do a comparison so we can see that something did happen. And we'll go into reports, run scripts, Antho. It put it into batch report and that one there, and I'll open that up. And no, and we should have 2 reports here. So this is the source. Well, let's look at the usage first. And there's a couple of things we found here. But I was just tracking, what was I tracking? The employee, I believe. Yeah, so we'll pull him out. And we'll see that we had 16 user scans, 18 user scans, 23 user scans. So between the 16 and the 18, a difference of 2, and between the 18 and the 23, there's a difference of 5. So this is showing me the differential. And the point of this is, aside from getting the results that we wanted, I didn't have to code anything further than just suggesting that this is the index table that I want you to go against, and it gave me the results. So this is the report. And then this is the source of the report. And it has many more. And we'll look at employee here, pull him up. And as you can see, we have the full usage of all the columns. And here are the scans again, excuse me, 16, 16, 18, 23. So when we ran our report, we pulled those in and did the differentials. So the key point again is the fact that using a declarative interface to the imperative paradigm, I didn't have to code anything more. Let's just say I wanted to do more reporting. All I have to do, and I'll show you multi-threading right now. If I go into my batches, my user A Padone, run scripts, start reports. It'll ask me what do you want to execute, and I'll do two reports right now. And not to tie you out, I won't show you the results, but I'll just put it out here, correlate. I want to do index usage and index op stats. Click that guy, continue on, yeah. And now it's telling me that it's running the index usage stats, the index op stats, and it's doing it in a multi-thread situation. So there were more than two requests. So now that it's being multi-threaded, they're being built up right now, and then I can look at them as far as the reports. And that's as simple as that. So do think about what declarative programming is, do think about what imperative programming is, and try to write your code around those two paradigms. But I do have to suggest that you do have to get more involved in coding as opposed to SQL scripting and coding through your scripting. You need a higher power level outside of SQL. I use C Sharp quote slash rather PowerShell.NET objects to do my reporting. And I put everything into data tables, internal tables, and do processing from that and store it in files. I don't store it in a database. I don't use database tables to store my information on the same server I'm processing. So I go out and actually connect to those servers and databases, do my processing in memory, and pull it back and store it wherever I'm processing from into bin files on my local drive or wherever I'm sitting. So I do not interrupt or use the resources of the server just to extract the information. I don't have a database stored there. I'm not storing files. I'm not inserting the files, tables rather. And that's the whole premise of this thing. Thank you very much. Bye bye.